What's up, everyone? It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover. Happy Monday. Super excited about today's show because today I get to hang out with Eyecare celebrity, an Eyecare star that has mastered everything you can think of, from ocular aesthetics, dry eye, to practice management. And today we're going to touch on some software that's going to really change the game for you. Friends and family, I'd like to welcome my colleague, a true star, a true icon in Eyecare. I'm going to give her that because she's really got some
Icon,
business
wow.
behind the scenes that you guys don't really know about. But friends and family, I'd like to welcome Dr. Janelle. Dr. Janelle, how are you doing today?
I am doing fabulous, and thank you for having me today. Icon, that's a lot. I don't know
Hey,
if I'm old enough to be an icon.
you better take the flowers while you're here, right?
I
You don't
know,
want to hear
I'll
about
take
that
them.
while
I'll
you're
take them.
gone,
Give them to me.
right? Well, you do a lot of things. I mean, you're always first to line when it comes to new technology and innovation, number one. Number two, you sit on several boards where you add a lot of value to these boards. Whether it's practice management, whether it's diversity, inclusion, or equity things. So you do a lot, and you have a practice that you practice in full time.
Yes.
So when I'm using these words wisely, and I don't say that about everyone, but you are truly killing the game, and you're truly blazing trails out here, and it should be known. So thank you first and foremost for joining me on this podcast today. Before we get started, again, I know a lot about you, but I want to share the world about your background. So if you don't mind, just giving us a good overview of who you are, where you practice, what you do, how you got in the game, all that great jazz.
Well, awesome. Once again, thanks for having me. I am Dr. Janelle OD, the dry eye mentor. I practice in Smyrna, Georgia, which is about 10 minutes north of Atlanta. I've been practicing now. This is my 16th year, believe it or not. So I'm not a young buck, but I'm not old school just yet. Not an OG. I'm right in between.
There
Okay.
you go.
Uh, I've been in private practice 12 of those years. I started my private practice. We came out saying cold. Dr. Ramsey, I know he's rephrased that to warm start, but I started my practice cold in 2010. So that means I didn't have a record to my name. I had a shell of a building, which was an old bank, Washington Mutual, which eventually went on to be Chase and something else.
Okay.
And we built it out, and we grew from there. And I kept saying you'll meet him later, but my husband has always been my business partner. He is not in the eye care field, but he brings a different aspect. He's an engineer with a technology background in IT, so that definitely helps. But we grew our practice, and we are primary care full scope. And about 2016, 17, we took a real interest in dry eye. As I tell my patients, I have dry eye disease. I was diagnosed back in the 90s. When daily lenses first came out, we thought that was the answer for patients who had dry eye. There was only Restasis, there was tears. And I didn't do well with any of those things, honestly. Before I had LASIK, I did end up wearing daily lenses, but I could only wear them for like 2 hours. I couldn't even wear my contacts, really. That's how bad my eyes were dry. And so it was special and dear in my heart. And so in my practice, I really wanted to take a step where I was really managing, treating, and diagnosing dry eye disease. And specifically at a level where in my county, I'm one of the few, if not the only, Black-owned private office. And so a majority of my patient base is 70% African-American or of color. And I would just see when I go to these different conferences and lectures that I would never see anybody, one, that looked like me lecturing on dry eye, or two, any cases that were presented of patients of color. So at one point, naive, I was like, well, maybe we don't get dry eye. Maybe we just get glaucoma and diabetes. I mean, I actually went and started researching. It was like, okay, no, there's no difference other than there's nothing separates from race. Uh-oh. I think I got lost.
No, you're there. We just don't see you, but you're still there. So
Okay.
continue on.
See if I can start my camera back up. Oh,
There you
sorry
go.
about that. And so my camera acts up sometimes. God, I think this is going to be one of the days where it just will not work.
It's all
But
good.
so I did a survey too. I went on I created a survey and I posted in like all my platforms just to see, and I was sending it mainly to patients of color to see if they were familiar with dry eye, if they had symptoms, had they been treated, what options were given to them. And so from the responses that I got, a lot of patients knew there was dry eye and weren't really offered a lot of the treatments. And so other than, over-the-counter tears and maybe prescription medication, a lot of them won't even offer prescription medication. So in my practice, I decided this is where I really wanted to focus. And so I really took a deep dive into dry eye. And then in 2018, we brought in the aesthetic aspect of our practice and kind of doing the dry eye spa. And so we've evolved from there. And so I'm really known in my area for treating, managing, and diagnosing dry eye disease. But what is also special is that I'm known, like you said, for practice management, for being very efficient, very quick to adopt technology in my practice. And so in 2019, just like most gaps that optometrists are experiencing, we were having some staffing issues. We were having some issues with calculating charges. And, I just thought a lot of things that we were doing in optometry were antiquated. My sister is a dentist, and I just look at all the technology that they have, all the resources that they have to be efficient, staffing agencies. I'm like, we are so behind with technology. And so, so this what brings me to Paradigm, which we'll get into a little bit more later on. But I forgot to say I went to PCO, graduated in 2006. So, PCO.
Yeah, shout out to PCO. I graduated from PCO as well. They're always doing some amazing things up there. But wow, incredible background, incredible history. I don't even know where to start. I do know where I want to start, because I gotta, always show love to my men that are doing things in eye care as well. Your husband, how's it working with your husband, especially on a project that's new and you're trying to change the game? Because I get to work from home some days, 2 to 3 days out the week, and my wife works from home, but she has her level, her floor, and I have my area, and we stay far away from each other. And in the evening, we come together. I think I'll drive her crazy all day if I sat down and spoke to her all day long. After a while, she gets tired of hearing my voice. So I'm curious, how does this relationship, this partnership really work?
Well, it actually works pretty good. Like I said, he was in corporate America for 20 years. He graduated from Georgia Tech with a mechanical engineering degree and finished the last part of project management doing IT project management. And so, we've always had a working partnership together, growing the practice itself. But we got to a certain point where, he was running these $1 million projects, and we're like, those resources and those skills, we could actually use those in our practice to take our practice forward, because I've always been that type of optometrist that was just really in tune to technology, efficiency, always reading, always learning, always seeing how I can make myself better and make my practice better. And so it was a natural fit. I would have to go out and hire somebody to do this. And so the pandemic actually helped propelled us. We were thinking about it. We were considering it. And then he started working from home in 2020. And then that was a great time just to transition out. We were coached into it because I always reference my sister, my baby sister. We call ourselves sister docs. Her husband is also a dentist, and they practice together, and they do it all the time. And so they kind of coached us, and, it works out pretty well. Believe it or not, during the day, I'm booked and busy. So I'm not sitting there. Half of the time I don't see him. So he drives the kids. I take one kid, he takes another. I may get there a little bit earlier than him. And then once the day gets going, it's like lunch. We sit down like any other colleague and we have lunch together. So that's fun. We get to have day dates, so we don't have any centers. It doesn't matter. We can go for lunch every day. But most of the day, honestly, I don't see him during the day because I'm like seeing patients throughout the day. So it works out perfectly.
I love it. I love it. Teamwork makes the dream work more than anything, right? I like that partnership of, one parent takes one child, another parent takes the other child, and then we come together at lunch, and at night we're all together, enjoy life, and talk about how great our day was, right?
Exactly.
Well, let's jump into this paradigm. You've mentioned that a couple of times, and that was the main reason why I wanted to really have this conversation and this dialogue today. We already got people coming on talking about how they love paradigm. Let's kind of break this down a little more in detail, if you don't mind.
So I'll give you the history of Paradigm. And so Paradigm is a concept that I said that was born out of real life. I'm a private practice owner. There was times where I was short staffed. There was time where I was fully staffed and trying to train and educate staff members on how to read benefits, how to do correct charges. You can get a math test all you want, which I used to do that to make sure they could do simple math equations and things like that. But once they're sitting in front of a patient's face and they're calculating charges, the patients say, well, take this off, add this, do that. We were getting to a point where, we were either undercharging patients or overcharging patients. And then I had to decide, do I want to call and get the money or take an L, and as we're going paradigm, it's a common theme. We talked to a practice that said it has multiple locations, and each month they're writing checks of thousands of dollars that they're giving back to patients because of wrong charges. Now, none of the things that we have to do a rocket science, but we're doing it in the midst of a busy day with a patient sitting right in front of you. And most of us are writing charges down. And once again, I'm always thinking of how I can innovate. Where's the gap? And to me, that's archaic. We are used to plugging things in and something spits out an answer versus you pull out a pen and a pencil and you write it down and scratch it out. It just doesn't look good. And so we actually came up with this idea, and I've been always trying to do a calculator that did packaging. When I first started practicing, packaging was the way to go. How can we package frame, lens, and lens treatment options in one concise way for the patient to understand what you're offering them and apply it to insurance benefits? And I mean, I would sit there in front of my Excel sheet. I'll sit there and work and try to figure out, pull out all these insurance plans. And I just could not figure it out. And so finally I went to my husband one day and I said, look, you're smart, you're an engineer. Somehow you've got to figure this out. And so he actually went through each insurance plan, figured out how I could come up with packages, a good, better, best system, and apply it to insurance and still calculate the correct charges for the patient. And so we were doing that in our office. And it was an optician that we had, that said, Dr. Davidson, you are on to something. She was like, this is ingenious. And she was like, and this is awesome. I've never worked anywhere where I can have charges calculated for me and get out 3 different concise options that the patient can look at, and we can have a dialogue on what's the best lens option. And it already includes, all we do is change the frame price, and it applies to every insurance plan. And she was like, you guys need to do something with this. And so that's when we decided, okay, how can we make this from concept we're just using in our office to reality, to something that we could actually maybe commercialize one day. And so we met with developers, and therefore Paradigm was born, which we'll get into a little bit today. But the system, the main thing of the system is that it calculates charges, but it bundles. Bundling is a common theme in shopping experience, period, outside of optical. Progressive, bundle your lenses. When you go to McDonald's, you say, I want a number 1. Everything is concise and it's easy for the patient or the consumer to shop. When you start to have too many things coming at someone, usually they retreat. So they're going to say, what? Just give me what's covered, right? And what's covered is not always necessarily the best option for the patient. Or they're going to say, you know what? Let me just step back. Let me take my prescription and then think about it. And so in our practice, everything is bundled. Even if my dry eye treatments, it's very easy for patients to understand what they're getting, when they're getting it, and how they're getting it in our office. And our optical is able to do that through Paradigm.
Yeah, I love that approach. And the thing that I really want to stress here is thinking outside of the box, thinking outside of eye care. A lot of times we get hung up on what we do in eye care, and we feel like that's the only way to go. Look at how you move around the world. Look how you function day in and day out. You mentioned going to McDonald's. You get the combo. It's a bundle. You go shopping somewhere. It's a bundle. You go online and purchase something. They're going to give you a bundle or some type of combination of things where it's all in one. So we're already mentally prepared and already mentally programmed to shop that way. So why can't we bring that to eye care and do the same thing? It's these little things that all we have to do is just kind of think about how we consume information and how we purchase things. And we can do the same thing with eye care. And it's so exciting to see, technology like this and brain power being used in the right way to make our industry move forward. So I love this concept. I love the direction that we're going with this conversation today.
And just to piggyback on what you said, yes. And sometimes doctors get a little afraid that patients aren't willing or understand and adapted to bundling. But like you said, that's how we shop. Everything is bundled. Very rarely do we go out and shop in the world and we're given things a la carte. We're given a bundled solution. A lot of times that bundled solution is going to be the best solution, but also too, you're going to probably save the most than a la carting everything out. And then in eye care, when you bundle it, that's going to really speed up the efficiency. The time that is spent with the patient is very important. I don't have a high volume practice, which is the way that I choose to go. But the practices that have a high volume practice, is definitely important to be able to have the optician or the frame stylist, whoever's sitting down with that patient, to be able to get to a quick solution that's going to be the best option for the patient, that's recommended by the doctor in a very short time frame, so you can move on to the next patient.
Yeah, I love this. And I like that you selected what type of practice that you want. again, a lot of times when it comes to eye care, we just see something and we're like, oh, I got to mimic that. I got to do that. For all my young practicing ODs, even my seasoned ODs that are out there and they have a private practice the way that you want to practice. If you do that, you will be a happy person. You will practice your entire life. You will enjoy the fruits of your labor, and you will understand why eye care is so great. Once you start trying to be like this person or that person, you will never get to where you want to be. You got to do what's right for you. And that is one key thing that you really want to take away from this conversation. Now,
Definitely.
something that I would love to learn more of is, how has this, number one, impacted, a little more in detail, your patient flow, but also how has this impacted just revenue, your bottom line? I mean, because with this technology and the software, if you're making this so that people don't have to think and they just know that they want this bundle and this package, how's this impacted those two things overall? Because I'm pretty sure it's probably shot up some numbers quite a bit.
Oh, definitely. Our revenue per patient has gone up about 35%.
Oh, wow.
35%, and we've cut the interaction time nearly half. So
Wow.
therefore, we can spend more time with the patient shopping, and not that, to pick out the frame and then they get flustered when you sit there and you go through this whole spiel of this, that, take on, add this for the lenses. And so we can calculate the lens treatments very quickly, what's recommended, and then they just add the frame price and it adds it all up. And so if they want to switch something out, it makes it a little bit easier. But reality, we don't have a lot of take on, take off, because we have a good, better, best system. And so we call ours a basic, premium, and trendsetter. There's some offices that we work with, they used to have good and best, it's however you want to work it for your office. But patients and now can sit down and they feel like they're involved in the process. Knowledge is power and autonomy is power. In eye care that we live in now, it's a different world. Like, they're not going to just take the rule of the iron fist because my doctor said do so. People overall are knowledgeable and they can easily get access to knowledge. And so the more that they have knowledge, the more they want to be involved and have autonomy in the process. And so when you have things bundled and clear and easy, and we could print it out, you could turn around on your iPad and they see the three options. They see what they're getting in each option. And then also we have a special unique aspect of it where we could put doctor attributes in there. So in the exam room, I can put in attributes for, like, so for instance, if I'm talking to the patient and they mention that they notice that they have some eye strain at the end of the day, I can type in eye strain and it'll automatically link to recommend the patient for like a anti-fatigue lens. And so therefore, when we print out their quote, it'll have in there that the doctor recommended an anti-fatigue lens. The doctor recommended that they're high prescription. So we definitely want to talk about additional thinning out their lenses. So there are ways that you can add on treatments to those bundles that are customized to that patient. So each patient feels like they're having a customized experience, where even if a husband and wife comes in, they'll say, well, I don't have that because I don't do that type of activity. So therefore, that's why that's not on my recommendation compared to yours. So, and that's what's helped set my practice apart. If you look at my reviews, which I have tons of them, patients feel like they're empowered because we provide knowledge, and then we customize the experience. And so we're using the same solution each time, but we're using that solution to make each patient feel special as they're in our office and as they're leaving.
Yeah, I'm over here getting goosebumps because I said this previously on another show. Just you're speaking my love language right now. And the one thing that I love and I emphasize is that you don't have to see a million patients. You just have to educate. And when you're able to educate your patients, you really take that doctor-patient interaction to the next level. Because now, when a patient is able to understand their problem and you found a solution for that problem, you are no longer selling. In a way, you're indirectly selling, but you're solving a problem for that patient, and they look at you as the hero. They look at you
Exactly.
as the rock star. Now, the piece that I love is how you're able to have this concept in the system that, like, hey, they are light sensitive, and you can talk about anti-reflective coating or transition lens technology, and the optician or the optical team member can see that piece. Now that doctor optical transfer is even more powerful, right? Because
Exactly.
now they can say, Dr. Janelle Express, you need transitions lenses simply because you have light sensitivity. Now they understand the problem, the solution. The doctor said it, it's on paper. That optical person does not look like a used car salesman simply because they've been able to connect the dots throughout the entire exam. And for my eye care professionals out there that really want to elevate it and take it to the next level, get your technicians involved. Have your
Mm-hmm.
technicians start having this conversation before they even see the doctor. That's why it's important to get a good history, a good understanding of their lifestyle, what they do for a living, because you can see how all of this is connected. I mean, before they even walk into the office, you got to start having a conversation with those patients. Everything is connected from online to the time they walk out of that door until the time they pick up their glasses. And every moment should complement each other. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Definitely.
that's the life that we need to be living as eye care professionals, put together that total picture, that total package to really make that patient happy and make that experience next level.
I definitely agree, and I definitely think too, as eye care professionals, we have to be willing to adapt innovation. Unfortunately, I would say we are slow. We are, meaning all of us, are slow to adopt innovation, and we don't. We have innovators. There are a lot of innovators in eye care who are doing marvelous things. They're finding gaps. They're practicing eye care practitioners. They're seeing all these gaps. But to move our profession forward, where we're thought of as tech savvy outside of our OCTs, there's other ways that you could bring technology into your practice or your IPLs. You want the whole experience to be tech savvy and just the whole experience to be in the 21st century. So I definitely agree.
I love it. I love it. Well, I say we bring on your husband, your partner in crime, the one that you two take on the world with. I mean, are you game for that? Are we ready to bring
I'm
on?
ready. I'm ready.
Let's go ahead and make it happen, friends and family. Let's welcome Mr. Jimmy to the show. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Man, I can't complain. We're super excited to have you on the show today. We've heard nothing but great things about you. If you don't mind, just maybe giving us a little bit more about your background, where you went to school, how you met this rock star in eye care, and how you two came to partner. She gave us a little overview, but we want to get the real deal, man. We need the inside. Matter of fact, maybe even share something that you love about Dr. Janelle so the whole world can love that as well.
Yeah. So I heard the early part of the interview, and she got it right. I'm an engineer by education. Graduated from Georgia Tech as a mechanical engineer, and I worked as an engineer in Detroit, Michigan for 3 years, and that's where I met my wife. I didn't like Detroit, and I didn't really want to do engineering anymore, so
I like the cold.
I switched careers to doing project management and mainly on the IT side. So I managed a lot of different type of IT projects, from automotive projects to ERP, so accounting systems, a lot of the software interfaces, a lot of different customer service technologies over the last 15 years. And so, she said it right. We put our heads together a lot for the business, because obviously what's good for the business is good for our household. So, we put our heads together a lot, and we came to this solution. You asked about how I met my wife. Yeah, I met her in Detroit when I graduated from school. I was up there for 3 years working for General Motors, and I met her out one night. I was out one night, and she looked my way, and she came and got me, and that was it. It's the truth. It's the truth.
I introduced myself.
She and so you asked what do I like, or what is I guess interesting, or about my wife. That is that she is very aggressive in the sense, not in the when I'm saying aggressive, of course I'm talking about in a professional sense. She knows what she wants. She knows what she wants. I haven't met many people, period, who are as driven and aggressive to get the goals that they want in life. So what you see is what you get with her. We kind of have we both are type A, but we're different in a lot of ways. And but the fact that she's such a leader, so driven, I'm her biggest cheerleader. I don't care what anybody says. She's had a lot of people on this show, I know, but she's the best. I take that to my grave. So
Hey man, ain't nothing wrong with it, man. You know, either two things are gonna happen after this show. Either she gonna go over and give you a big kiss, or say, "Don't ever call me aggressive again on this podcast."
She knows the truth.
Good luck. Good luck.
Okay.
You know, while we're talking about stories here, you know, I want to definitely get into a demo next, a quick demo, so you can just show the back
Sure,
end.
yeah.
If you don't mind getting that queued up. But
Yeah.
you know, it's funny. I met my wife through my sister. My sister did not like the women that I was dating at the time. You know, they would come home, they would meet my mom and my dad, and she's just like, hell no, hell no, no way, right? So my sister and my now wife went to school together, and my sister told her, hey, I want you to meet my brother. He's tall, he's handsome. The handsome part, she was right. I'll take that. He has it going on. He's dark skinned, all this other stuff, and not dark skinned, not tall at all, completely opposite of what she said. So when my wife met me, she just kind of looked at me, and I thought it was kind of odd. But as we started to go longer throughout the years, you know, I just figured that I got game, because I mean, I was completely opposite of what she liked. So I had to do something right. The only thing I could think that I did right was my game. So I must have a strong game.
Strong game, huh?
Strong game. But she will tell you this, and she says this all the time: I get finer as I age, and I'll take that every day. I ain't gonna lie. I look back at some of my pictures when I was in high school and early college. Woo! Yeah, come a long way. Let's just say that. God bless.
That's good.
Life.
Aging is becoming. That's good. Some people it's not. Aging doesn't do well for them. So that's good.
But let's go ahead and get into this demo. This has been great. You guys, you're getting exclusives here. You heard the story of how they met. We know everything about Dr. Janelle now. Jimmy, next time we're going to have her go in on you, just FYI. But we'll save that for another show, all right?
Yeah. The story will be the same.
All right, let's jump into this demo, man, if you don't mind.
Sure. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we see it. Beautiful
Cool.
website, by the way.
Cool. Thank you. So, so the website is paradigm.com, and you know, we call it Paradigm because it is just that. It's a shift in the way you think. It's not only a software technology, but it's a mindset that, you know, we're trying to get doctors to adopt. So when you go to the website, there's a login button that's on the website. You click on the login button, and what that does is take you to a site that you can log in. It's web-based, so basically anybody in the office can have a login. And so, as you said, I'm just going to give you a quick demo, just kind of overview of how it works. So this is our dashboard, and so the dashboard, the purpose of the dashboard is threefold. Number one, we have an area where you can show who's doing what in your optical. So it gives you a view of month to date, who sold what. And so we did this because, you know, we're competitive. My wife and I are competitive, and we want to bring that same mindset to the office, and we think it's good for opticals. And so what it does is whatever packages your office or whatever bundles you all have. So our demo site, we have Elite, we have Premium and Standard. What it does is adds up the sales that you've made during the month, and it will order your optician. So it will show your top 3 opticians. And the goal of that is, you know, so as a doctor or as a manager or even as an optician, you can look on the dashboard and see what you've done. And if you set your good, better, and best up the right way, chances are your package in the middle is going to be the one where you see the majority of your sales. And so this view allows you to make a decision as a, you know, decision maker in your office. Maybe we should change our packages because we're not selling any of our top package. So that's one part of the dashboard. We have a save quotes, which is very valuable. You know, one thing that my wife mentioned is efficiency. One thing the software allows you to do is to create a quote and actually generate the quote before the patient even gets there. So this helps in the situation where you're short-staffed. You know, we have some offices that actually create all the quotes ahead of time. Create them ahead of time. You know, you can have an offshore resource do this. You can have somebody in your office actually create the quotes ahead of time. And now all you have to do is simply go in, as my wife mentioned earlier, and enter the frame cost. And it's going to generate 3 different packages for you. And then what you have here is your dashboard. This is kind of the engine of the system. You'll notice patient names here. You'll notice insurances here. One thing that we it's a benefit, but it's not really what our system's about, we actually pull the insurance for you. So, you can put in a patient name. I can put myself in, and what it's going to do, and it'll take about a minute and a half. And if we're still showing this demo, you'll see it. But what it will do is actually search for that patient across the major insurance carriers. So I put my name in, it will search for me, and it's going to pull the actual PDF. If you have two, it's going to tell you. If you have, a VSP authorization that's already authorized, it will tell you that. And it will tell you all the insurances that you have. If you can't find it, there'll be nothing here. And so the way it works, very simple. You click on the patient name. Let's say, this patient, you click populate copays, and what it shows is they have iMed. Now, if you hit insurance order, this is just saying, I want to give this patient an order using their insurance. Let's say this is a single vision patient, and they have a $300 frame that's in their hand. Now, all you do is hit next. And as you can see, it's populated some numbers for you. I won't go into all the detail, but what is populating are the packages that you've created for your office. One thing that my wife talked about is, lens options, add-ons. So you can have certain add-ons that you add to your packages. This allows you to create add-ons that are benefit for the patient, benefit for the office, and maybe that don't even involve insurance, but you add it to your package, and this system's going to allow you to choose whether or not you want to add on or not. And you just finish the quote, and it's going to generate 3 quotes for you. And so as you can see here, this generates 3 different quotes. And, we have like a good, better, best. And ours is called Standard, Premium, Elite. But we have $230, $259, and $422. And so these are the exact copays that you would charge a patient with insurance. So you can do a bundle with insurance. You can do a bundle as a self-pay option. And it's going to give you your good, better, and best. And so some offices choose to provide all 3 and let the patient choose. Or some offices have this in front of them, and they know that the patient needs a premium, and so we give them the $259 quote for their premium package, and here's what it includes. And so you can edit these quotes very quickly. If they need high index, you can just go back and edit and choose high index. And one thing you'll notice, if I scroll up, you'll notice if I choose high index, she was talking about the math part. You see how this polycarbonate disappears? If you choose high index, it's going to actually add in the high index for you and not double charge. And, as if you're doing hand calculations and somebody says, I need thinner lenses, and then you have to do the math for high index, and you got to remember to take the polycarbonate off, this does that for you. And then, like I said, you can save these quotes. You can pull them up later, or you can, if the patient says, I want to come back 2 weeks from now, you can just go in and search for their name. And so if somebody, one thing that my wife mentioned, and if you notice, now there's iMed by my name. So it's found that I have iMed. One thing that my wife also mentioned, I'm going to see if I can find one. She mentioned the handoff. So you've Dr. Glover, you've mentioned, you got it. You could tell what we're talking about with the handoff. This is the virtual handoff, and the doctor can actually in the room add certain attributes to a patient. Up to 5, as you can see, there's 5 attributes you can add. And you can say, this patient talked to me about dry eye symptoms. They talked to me about, they use devices heavily. You can add these attributes for a patient. And let's say this is a self-pay order this time. I click self-pay, single vision, and let's say the frame this time is $250. What you see is the screen actually highlighted for your optical staff. Hey, this is a reminder. You need to include one of these or all of these in the package because the patient talked to me about dry eye symptoms. They talked to me about heavy device usage, light sensitivity, etc. So you can actually add these to the quote. And as you said, Dr. Glover, it's going to ahead of time give the credibility to the optician. It's kind of transferring the credibility of the doctor to the optician. So now when you're presenting the quote, again, you don't have to separate it out as an additional line item. It's actually in the quote. You've got the dry eye kit and the blue light filter, and it tells you why. And again, you can quote them the package price. And so that's what we're about. My wife said 2-3 years ago, we're doing bundles and that's it. And we haven't turned around since at her office, and it has worked wonders. that's it in a quick overview. I know you have a time limit, but it's a quick overview.
Nah, I never have a time limit for greatness, man. We could go on for days, right? The only time that I put a limit is when my stomach start growling and I need to go. When my wife start calling, then I need to go, right? But hey, man, there's so much to unpack here. I mean, number one, I wanted to start with, I love how you have the best option to the right, or to the left, excuse me, right?
Yeah.
You have it exactly how we read. And the first thing you see, the best option available, it's right there to that side, which is fantastic. The other thing that I really love is that, just thinking about this, I always like to think about patients before they enter our office, right? Before they enter the exam lane. And to be able to have them look at your eyewear online ahead of time and find a frame that they like and then message your office about it, you can already have the quote ready to go before they even walk into the office. I mean, how game changing is that? To be able to have an online gallery of frames, but then also figure out a way to bundle this piece. So when they come out for that handoff, you already got the frame in hand and you got the different options available to them to be able to educate them about. Game changing. Another piece that I really love too is, and Dr. Janelle, I know you're big into dry eye, but a lot of doctors have problems with doing this, being able to connect the medical and retail piece to this, right? Not only did you find a solution for dry eyes with talking about, if you have dry eyes, you have light sensitivity, you need transitions, you need anti-reflective coating, you have dry eye kit on there. Mm-hmm. That shows the whole package of how you treat dry eyes, that there is that retail component, but that retail component is going to help with that medical piece. And to be able to bring both of those pictures together in one area, one document, one piece of paper, that changes how patients perceive how you treat them. They now understand even more the importance of that retail piece and that medical piece and how you marry the two together, but how, just because you got anti-reflective coating doesn't mean it's going to treat your light sensitivity. You got to treat that dry eye as well. And we're able to marry those two together, it really takes patient care to the next level.
Definitely. And it not to just kind of jump in there. Yeah, definitely. And it helps you when you have, I know a lot of doctors have different inventory, nutraceuticals, retail makeup, and just trying to figure out how to connect the dots, when the patient's in the room. And so you can go and add where it links to certain things. So I do the same thing with the dry eye kit. And those are usually for my episodic patients who might have scored a 10 or 12 on the OSDI, not full-blown dry eye, but I want to have that discussion about a foundational treatment, which we have kits, and we work with different companies to have a kit. But I may say, hey, I recommend lutein, or I recommend mascara, and all those things. I can indicate those things on that attribute, so that too, during that virtual handoff, the patient's like, oh yeah, the doctor did talk about that. Do you have that here? Is that included in the price that I'm purchasing today? So once again, it makes it concise. When people get confused, they usually retreat. And so usually it's going to be pause, let me take my script. Or, you know what, I'm just going to get the bare basic and then just figure it out later. And so we diminished a lot of that. And so if a patient too is not sure at that time, then it's okay. We let them take that quote. We're not ashamed about anything. They have, I think, 2 weeks. What is it, Jimmy? 2 weeks or 30 days. And we have patients actually call back or text back and say, hey, that quote that I was quoted 2 weeks ago, I want to go ahead and purchase. And then we send them a purchase link via text. And so we keep it really very easy for patients who want to purchase in our office to be able to purchase in our office.
Yeah, and something that I wanted to touch on is, I know you can go back and look at previous quotes. How powerful is that? To be able to know exactly the conversation, the exact dialogue that you had with a patient. And when maybe you're at the end of the quarter, end of the month, whatever your goals, your KPIs are, you got to hit a little bit more rather than seeing more patients. Focus on the patients that's sitting there in front of you, right? Call back that patient and say, hey, we had this conversation 2 weeks ago. I know you were kind of on the border, on the fence. Do you want to move forward with these glasses? That's game changing. That really is thinking smarter rather than working harder, right? So that really makes a big difference as well. I really love it.
And I guess I just wanted to point out, a lot of when I do demos, people wonder, well, how do you come up with the packages? What if we don't want to have a high index, or what if we don't want to have an Eisen in our package? The system's completely customizable. We have an admin panel. And so the admin panel allows you to set up whatever you want. If you want to have a package that's, high index with transitions and, a top level premium progressive, you create that package. If you want to create a package with a frame and lens warranty, as well as blue light, as well as polycarbonate, you create that package on the back end and it changes on the fly. So we allow you to go on the back end. If you see that a package is not working, you can actually log in while the patient's in the office, change the package, and it's going to show up on the front end.
Yeah, and something else that I think is really cool with this is, imagine if you have private labeling, right? We're talking about nutraceuticals. Like, imagine that. You can put that on the prescription. If that patient walks, they're going to go to another practice and they're going to ask for this, and they don't see that. But being that you're a great doctor, Dr. Janelle, they're going to say, I got to go with what my doctor said. So I'm not getting whatever product that you have. I'm going to go back to where to my doctor because she wanted me to get this brand in particular. And just think how that, keeps patients held to the practice. Think about just the care that those patients get. I mean, this has been great. I mean, I've literally been taking notes and just trying to ask all my questions because this is phenomenal software. And you guys have done a great job with really, number one, making it easy to use.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the interface, the back end, the usability, it's easy. It's nothing where you have to think a lot. You literally just click a couple of buttons and it makes it so much easier for the patient to understand, but most importantly for your team members to use. Because we got to remember, if systems and processes are difficult, our team members will not even use it. And if they're not using something to, make it easier for the patient, we may lose that patient and we will lose that revenue as well. So you always want to keep in mind, yes, your patients, but you got to keep in mind the associate, the team member. You want to make sure that they understand what's going on and they're able to utilize the technology and software to help elevate that patient experience as well. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy, if folks want to, get up with you, man, and get a demo, what's the website? How can they get in contact with you, man? How can they make this magic happen?
Yep. So the website is Paradigm, PARADEYEM.com. So www.paradigm.com. They can email info@paradigm.com, and it'll get to me for sure. And you can book a demo straight through the website. And usually I do the demos because I'm very familiar with the software. And, we go from there. It's a quick demo, just like you saw. It's very easy to use, very beneficial. I know my wife will never go back as far as going back to a la carte. She'll never go back as long as we can use the software.
Awesome. Well, this has been great. And I know I could talk to y'all for days because we're on the same page. We're on the same wavelength, especially when it comes to just creating the ultimate doctor-patient interaction, right? Dr. Janelle, you got a lot going on, all great stuff. I'm even scared to ask you, what do you have going on next? Because next thing I might hear is you might be running for president, but I'm here. So we want you to stay here and not run off to be the next president. All right.
Yeah, I don't get to politics. I mean, I do my voting, but I'm not a politician. But but yeah, I have the virtual dry eye academy that's launched. Dr. Selena McGee, and so module 3 will be coming out soon, and so stay in tune for that. I will be lecturing at the Optometry Divas conference in a couple of weeks, and so I'm excited. I have 3 hours that we're doing talking about dry eye and building and branding your dry eye spa. And I'm trying to think. I got some articles that I'm working on that are coming out. So in a couple of weeks, I have about 3 articles that'll be out. And so I'm always busy with optometry, but I'm a busy mom too. Like I was telling you before, I have 2 little ones, a 10-year-old, and I'm officially have a 13-year-old. So I have a teenager. And so I just like to stay busy. Forgot my nonprofit. So guys that follow you, everybody knows I have a nonprofit, Score Inc. We help to expose girls of color, junior and seniors in high school to optometry and dentistry. And our 6th annual internship starts this summer in a couple of weeks. And so you can go to wescore.org to take a look and have a girl apply. So we have some internships available in Georgia and North Carolina in the Cobb County area where I am this summer. And so I'm always working on things. I like to stay busy.
Awesome. I love it. One last question for you. What do you want to be known for when it's your turn to retire? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind in this profession?
My legacy has been the same. Service. I provide service to all mankind. I'm that kid who was not athletic. I did not have any musical talent, and both of my sister and my brother did, but I used my talents to give back. And so prior to even getting into optometry, I volunteered at the Children's Hospital, soup kitchens, any way that I could be of service to all is what I do. So service and education. And so my thing is my kid's going to know that mom definitely contributed to the community and she gave herself through service.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you again, Dr. Janelle. Thank you, Jimmy. It's been a pleasure to hang out with you this evening. Continue the great work, continue to be innovative, and continue to change the game. Let's continue doing those bundles and changing the eye care industry forever. Thank you again. It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Darrell Glover. Stay healthy, positive, and blessed. And until next time, peace. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a great one.
Thank you.